Alright, in this video I wanted to really quickly just kind of talk about maybe an alternate way to use Dark Invader now that the Werepyre bat guest, the elevuln bug, has been fixed. Before, obviously it would bug out the elevuln, and so you'd basically end up with, like on a celerity turn, you could end up with over 500% elevuln, and since elevuln remains during 0 turns, the following turn it would stack damage on top of that. So by turn 2 you could have your guest doing several thousand damage, and then your pet, depending on the pet you're using, a lot of people like to use the energy jelly. I was using the void skull pet. It could lucky strike with optico misc for like 3,000, 4,000, if you really wanted to push your elevulns. But now that that bug is fixed, it's taken a pretty large hit to how overpowered the abilities are. It's still quite defensive, obviously, with the blind and the choke, but the offensive side of the armor took a pretty large hit. But I wanted to showcase just a small and quick option. You'll have 2 options for your guest, but the new Magru guest here is what I'm using. You could probably use Frankentwilly on the poison mode because it's an energy poison. Probably either one would do. But what I'm going to do here, obviously, so I've got my pet booster here at plus 50% on the foam finger. Got Tropo Shield, the energy, fire, and earth elevuln. This is going to do an energy burn, and this guy's just going to do energy attacks and regenerate my SP, so that way this remains pretty infinite. So basically what you're going to do, let me swap my weapon so I can have a magic weapon to do this, if I can get an elevuln there. And then I'm going to use the Shadow Phoenix Brooch Misc, and what that does, it's a donation reward from a couple years ago. Some people may have it. Basically, it does a fire burn for every landed pet and guest hit. And with Dark Invader doing energy and fire elevuln, so what you're doing is you're doing an energy burn, or with Frankentwilly a poison, and then a fire burn there. And so that's all you're doing. So you're just going to be stacking elevulns and then watching the combination of the burns doing the damage. And if you're doing celerity, you're doing the Zfinity power, it will add up pretty quick. So I'll showcase it here. So this monster, almost 15,000. Alright, so that's the one drawback of having these guesses, their calls, and so their SP upkeeps. So with 150% energy, those 2 chokes did 0.07. I'm not sure what the blinds would do because it's out of the screen. But the elevuln is, let's see, 284, and then plus we have the 125 from this guy. I'm going to do this guy again, and it should bug out the elevuln from Dark Invader. So it added on top. So now we're at 385. So this is how you're going to end up getting your elevulns up there. So actually I'm just going to continue to do these celerity turns. So I made a mistake last round. Make sure I have enough SP for the guest to actually go. So now we're at 427 for the elevulns. So now you're going to start really seeing some damage come off, not only from my pet and guest, but the burns. So we got 9844, and it's now dropped to 6863. So that was 3,000 and damage just from burns. So let's see if we can manage to get. So let's see, we were at 427, right? Alright, so now we're at 527. So this is about the territory that the bat swarm would do. So you can still do it, just not as easy. And this is actually going to grow a little bit. So now we're at. So it went down slightly, but it added a turn, and then this should. I'm thinking right here we might actually see 6,863 damage come off once this is all said and done here. I'm hoping. So now we're at 498. You can see several thousand there. The jelly pet's healing some crazy numbers, and then the burn and the stuff should take care of the rest of it. Let's see what we did. Let's see if it shows just on the burn. Let's see. It didn't show the actual. Let's see. Got 2,039 energy burn, and it only showed one burn for fire because it was already down. So the fire amount, let's see. Let me get rid of the log here. So based on burns, hopefully they're listed. So the energy burn was 8.25 in power. I don't really see the fire burn's power. So as you can see, we got the 498 for fire energy, and that's being multiplied by the 125 from the initial Zfinity. Got the def loss of 60, so you're not going to miss. Status weakness. Choke is down to 0.07, and blinds are probably, high enough to where you're not going to hit. But that is, to me, the alternate strategy using Dark Invader now that Werepyre Bat Swarm is done.